Oh, I'm Jules Hare and excited to join with you in a conversation with my good friend and collaborator and mentor, Janel Willette. So glad to be here with you, Janelle, to talk about the heart of the matter. And for everybody listening, the intention of dropping into the heart of the matter is because that's where everything begins. And if we focus our attention there, we can stay at that depth and activate from that depth quickly and smoothly and with so much integrity and connection that everything outside of us responds differently to us. So the heart of the matter, and I'll let you take it away, Janelle, because it's
Ah,
deep at your heart, this one.
yes, yes, yes. Well, today my heart is the North Star, and this top always reminds me of aligning and orienting to my true North Star. And that North Star is the center of the center at the center of the center, which is my soul that I always think of lives in my heart. And so to be aligned with what I'm here for and what I'm about is peeling the layers so that I can really get to my heart. Because inside my heart is really what I most love, what I most cherish, what brings me alive, what makes me feel like I'm contributing, that I have purpose, that I'm able to support and help people in the way that I do. And I think that when we can find the deepest calling of our heart, or even the deeper, just peeling back the layers of what really brings us truly alive and makes us feel like we matter to the world, whether that's doing some great idea, that impetus that comes from inside, or whether it's the impact we have on the people around us, whether it's our family, our community, or some organization or something that really um, feels so aligned and in resonance and important, right? What is that inside? And so today, that's what we want to do is find out what that is in each of us. And if we can begin to be a catalyst in some way that brings your heart truly alive, it's going to be the greatest gift that you have to both give yourself and the world. And so, Revolutionary Leadership Academy was born out of that, the heart of the matter. Because what does the world need more than anything else right now? And what does humanity need for its truest evolution to rise up out of some of the great challenges that we're having? I think the calling is to get to the heart of the matter.
And that heart, when you say that, I mean, I know so many people right now, maybe you're listening to this, watching this as well, and you can see so many things around you that feel like they're like falling apart, or like, oh, I know a lot of people are deeply concerned about the state of the earth and the politics and whatever avenue it is that we feel like we need to do more, we need to put more attention, energy, or money into things around us. And really, what I hear when you say that, Janelle, is that dropping back into the heart of the matter, to the heart of what really matters, and actually believing that we have impact in the world. Actually, and I know that Janelle and I have talked about this just recently about how a lot of kids these days are growing up, and I have teens myself, are growing up and thinking that there isn't a lot to look forward to. There isn't a lot of hope, right? That whether it's the generation before or the generation before them has destroyed the earth, or whatever story it is that they're perceiving, they've taken that to their heart, right? When we say take it to heart, like we take things to heart, that we've heard, that we believe in, that aren't necessarily true because they're the perceptions that we've been in the field of growing up, right? And so we get to decide what we take to heart. We get to decide what is at the heart and what really matters. And when I think about that and the next generations, and if we can teach through our own active being the hope that we have within ourselves and radiate that and be able to open up just by being ourselves that next generation to having hope and their kids to having hope, right? We if the more we focus on what's happening outside of us and the fact we don't have control over it, the more we can spin. But the more we bring it back to the heart of what really matters, heart, our soul, our knowing and truly believing that we are here to be of value, to make an impact just by being ourselves, the more it spreads to everybody.
Yes, yes. And you know what comes to mind is this big question, because to me, I love questions because they are really the catalyst that can awaken and bring alive a quest. And so the question is, what if? And I asked myself and about 100 people, what if? And if you let your heart speak to what if everyone spends 5 minutes a day asking themselves, what is the heart of the matter? What is the heart of the matter today?
Maybe we can take a second right now and just, yeah, hold that space right now for you. You're watching, you're listening, right? What is the heart of the matter today? For
Today, right now. To be for that, to live for that, to orient toward that. That's the silver lining in everything. And that is your North Star. And it will begin to orient and change and illuminate for each of us what we're really living toward, living for, and the style by which we do that living. Because if we can put heart into what we do and know why we're doing what we're doing, because it's in resonance with our heart, because your heart knows the way, and your heart has within it beauty and love, and your heart cares for the well being, its natural essence is benevolence. Believing in and being for the overall good of everyone. And that's an energy that emanates from each of us when we take that moment to ask ourselves. Because everything that can go macro and that can go viral or can be manifest from your dreams and your visions comes from the heart of the matter. And I remember I had a great gift of a woman who spoke wisdom to my unawakened ears at that time. I was searching and seeking outside of myself. I was just out of college. And somehow she was a seer and she could feel and maybe see things in me that I couldn't yet see or knew were true and real. And she said, Janel, you are not like the others. And I'm going to tell you something that I want you to remember for the rest of your life. And if you orient your life this way, it'll make all the difference. And this is what she said to me. You've got to sing like you don't need the money. You've got to dance like nobody's watching. You've got to love like you've never been hurt. And it's got to come from your heart if you want it to work. It's got to come from your heart if you want it to work. And I was so moved by that. It made such an impression on me. That became my mission. That became my business plan. That was on my website. And I said, if I follow that, and there's metaphor and symbology in that, but the last statement is, this is where the genius is. And I look back now 30 years ago, and every job, every opportunity and quest that I took that came from my heart, that I checked in and I followed, and I was true to my heart, was a true success and a glorious time of my life. And those times when I went in and tried to fit into corporate America, and when I wanted to create a big idea in an institution that they weren't open and heart connected, it didn't go anywhere. It was a dead end. It was a disappointment. And so looking at that, I've learned that all along, the universe was behind me and supporting me and guiding me to the place I could have the greatest impact and the greatest way of living my creativity and my intelligence, my talents and my gifts, and they were received. So I had an impact, and then I got that feeling that, wow, this is great. But when I didn't, dead ends, disappointments, huge challenges and obstacles. And so now I've learned. And so you might ask yourself about your inner mission. And does that align with, and that is that in resonance with your business plan, your life plan, your vision? And if you don't have a vision, if you don't have an aspiration for yourself, it's a wonderful time to go right to the heart of the matter and ask yourself, what makes you you? Because there's only one you. And the world needs that from you.
I could feel that just in my heart, as I'm sure you can too, listening and watching. And when you started talking there, Janel, and you're talking about the quest, and the quest, the question leading to the quest, and knowing that the quest is an adventure, but it's not an adventure outside. It's an adventure within. And the power of that, from my experience, my own personal experience in my own body, as well as working with other people in their bodies, is very rarely do we give ourselves the opportunity, until we're intentional about it, like you have been, thanks to all of that beautiful inspiration and other people believing in their impact, right? That, like, listen to this thing, and this is going to change your world. Like, talk about, like, when somebody's ears are open to hear and they hear that, right? You're open. And that same amount of openness when we ask ourselves a question, when we go inside to ask ourselves a question, and instead of taking the quest into a place where, oh, we should say this or shouldn't say this, or this is right or this is wrong, when we take the question to our heart and we just leave space and we let ourselves be present to listen to what shows up, instead of trying to fill up that space with our mind and with all the stories, we open up to a whole new world of potential. And of course, the more we bring our attention to that world of potential, the more we bring our questions there, the more we bring our awareness to the heart and what really matters, everything starts to come together. And like you said, you can create a beautiful direction that is directed by your heart, that no matter what, because you build and build and build this deep trust in your heart, you can't not listen to it at a certain point. It's like there's a tipping point where you can't not hear it. And those whispers become screams, and they don't let you ignore them. And that's by your own design, because that, that's what you want, because you've chosen it over and over and over again, and you prove that to yourself.
And I have come to know and rely on the certainty that when I follow my heart and my inner knowing, I cannot fail. Failing is not possible. And if I think it hasn't gone the way I wanted to, it helps me to recalibrate what success and failure is. Because I know whatever obstacle or challenge that is here, I'm on the forefront of my own revolution. So these are uncharted waters. Of course they are. And that's when you know you're on it, right? It's like a little bit short of overwhelm. And you're certainly out of the underwhelm. You're out of the stagnant waters. You're on the edge of the edge. And actually, that's when we're most alive. So a lot of us orient our lives somewhere around success and failure. And I want to challenge and invite everyone to redesign their orientation toward that inner heart place in which you know you cannot fail if you follow your heart. And you may not know what it's going to look like. And so it may be that you need to borrow the certainty of the deep inner knowing and your community, your people around you. Because remember, faith is a verb. You don't know faith until you're doing it. And then you find out what you're made of because you've done something and you've stretched yourself beyond your comfort, beyond your limits, beyond the knowing. And that's what really is the invitation for each of us, because that's where evolution and revolution are born. Knowing that you cannot fail. And the only way that I know that I can possibly fail in life is if I fail myself. Examine your view and perspective on success and failure. That's the heart of the matter. I think that's the real calling for each of us. That we ensure and commit to ourselves that we don't fail ourselves. Because when you know that you're in alignment with your true self, your view and your whole perspective and the landscape, the vistas available to you will change, they'll open up. You'll feel how the universe conspires for your heart to come fully alive, your vision, your experience, your impact to be received by everyone around you and everyone on this planet, because we are interconnected to everyone. We must not forget that. We must continue to remember that this is an all-inclusive culture. Open up to that and let the people receive the jewels from your heart, however that may look.
And it reminds me, Janelle, just excuse me, just this morning, I was having some correspondence with one of my coaching clients, and they had gone to a funeral, and you know the magic of a funeral, right? There's a lot of grief, but there's also a lot of when you're there witnessing it and inspired and moved because your heart's open, because so many people's hearts are open in all of the fields, and uh, there was a point where this person had said, I want to know my contribution to the world. They talked about the contribution that we're making, each and every one of us makes, and it doesn't have to be a monetary contribution or stuff, but the impact through which we all make in our worlds, what wisdom carries forward once we're not here, but the impact that we've had on the others around us, and um, has it been to inspire those next generations? And has it been focused on, you know, the heart of the matter, whatever your heart holds and deems most true? When it speaks with that authenticity, it speaks and lands and finds home in every person in their own way. It doesn't have to be that they feel the same way that you do, but they feel that authenticity and that love and that passion, and awakens something in them, that impact, that contribution. And so, you know, when Janelle and I talk about working with the people in Revolutionary Leadership Academy, sometimes that word leader can get limiting, because sometimes we don't deem ourselves leaders. We don't think ourselves leaders as a mom, or as a caretaker for your elderly parents, or as a, right, like the importance of knowing that we are all leaders by leading from our hearts, by truly stepping into what matters for us, and leading our lives, leading our realities from that place, then you're a leader.
Right. And it's the quality by which that wisdom, that golden gift is given from your beingness. I remember back in the day when I was in Connecticut, Old Greenwich, Connecticut, and I would go down Sun Beach Avenue to either do a sunset kayak or a swim and just be with the sunset. That was my ritual in the summers and the times that even in the winter, I would do other just snowshoeing or things down at Todd's Point. And on the way on Sun Beach Avenue, there's this little tiny gas station. And it was actually a gas station which they pumped your gas. And that was my hub, because there was a gentleman there by the name of Jim. And that was his station. That was his inner station to have an impact. And I looked forward to seeing Jim and to see what wise words he would say, or just to see his smile, because he was so filled with certainty that he was doing what he was here to do, having an impact, being who Jim was the greatest gift. And I was so moved and always looking forward to that. I would go inside and get a little sweet coffee that they had, organic coffee. That was always a bonus. And he would just talk bits of wisdom. And I always went away with not just a full tank of gas, but I was filled inside of myself. And I recognized that wild paradox in my mind, how valuable his beingness, him being at his station and knowing that that's exactly what it was that he was here to do at that chapter in his life. And so he was really monumental in my recognition of the unlimited impact of following your heart and having that knowingness. And he impacted everyone who came and to the station and in his life. So who knows what that is? And it doesn't even matter. You probably need to change anything externally in your life to have more impact.
Mm. Oh, the thought of Jim and us knowing that we have that opportunity. I feel actually just the other day, my husband just the other day, he took an e-biking tour to Deer Island here on the Bay of Fundy here in Canada. And uh, he said on the way back, he was taking the ferry. And there was a man who was a ferry, he was directing cars where to go. But as people were leaving the ferry, he would have signs that he would wave to each person who was leaving the ferry with like these really positive signs, like don't forget the power of a smile, and remember that you are loved. And it just made me cry just going. So that man could not be doing anything. He could just be like, go ahead, right? Go ahead. See you later. Bye. But instead, he recognized his impact, that he gets to see a lot of people and he has the opportunity to change each and every person's day. And he would flip over to the next saying and the next saying for each person. So they'd all get a different statement as they were leaving with a big smile and a wave. And we think about it like that little bit of extra energy and him trusting and believing that this is actually going to change somebody's life. And in doing it, we all have that. We all have that available to us. And it all matters. And it all matters because it comes from our heart.
And I think a lot of it is getting out of our own way and letting ourselves be out of the box and just let the impetus of your creative self come more alive. Right? Because so many of us are trying to like fit in and not go outside of the realm of what our conditioning was. And I think a lot of times we don't feel vibrantly alive when we don't let ourselves do that. Right? The
Yeah.
other day I was down at the beach and there was this dad that was joining his daughter playing on the beach. And he joined her doing cartwheels. And I just thought, how many dads would just let themselves play and come alive and not worry about being seen or being proper, being in the box? His daughter invited him to do cartwheels, so he did cartwheels. It's not like you have to do cartwheels, but you do need to get out of the box and be able to laugh at yourself and be silly. Because in that silliness, in that laughter, you realize how much that spontaneity and that openness is where the magic starts to flow. The liveliness, the love.
It reminds me of your statement, dance like nobody's watching. It's amazing. And I've challenged myself to this, to dance like nobody's watching. And it's way easier when you're walking down the street and there's, very few cars or pedestrians, other people walking. But as soon as I got to a major intersection, I could feel it. It was like my whole body got tight and like I was dancing through quicksand. All of a sudden, I was like, no, just turn up the music, Jules. Dance like nobody's watching. Like keep being yourself. And it is a challenge. We need to recognize like it's not easy to step out of your own way. You've been doing it for a really long time, and we're not saying it's going to happen right away, and that it's like just a flip that you switch and then it's done. No, like this is why the Revolutionary Leadership Academy and what we're creating and all these conversations that we've been having are so important, is because we're building that. We're making it safe. We're making it an experience that you can trust and that lives in your body, that you know because you've had experience to know that it's something that you want, but it's also something that matters and that you know the feeling of, and you know that when you do it, it actually isn't as bad as your mind has conditioned it to be.
Precisely. And it's most important to be able to laugh at ourselves and with ourselves, right? And I think that's what's so near and dear to all of our own lives, is that we're all yearning so much to set our own selves free, right? So many people at the marketplace, oh, I saw you cycling, I saw you hiking, you're always there. And I can see and feel that people live vicariously through me and my freedom and my life and my way of just dancing in nature, being down at the beach, doing the grapevine, doing my sand therapy for my feet, and admiring the sunset and the wild waves. I'm the only one down at the beach doing my wild thing. What seems to be wild, but it's one of the favorite things I do at the beach. So instead of living vicariously through these ideas and inspirations, what if you
What if?
today get out of your own way? Do something to amaze your own self, because we're all yearning to come more alive unto our own selves. And that's what the world is waiting for. That's where true inspiration, spontaneity, that's when your inner genius comes alive. So if you do one thing today, get out of your own way and do something to amaze your own self that you haven't done before or for a long time. And you watch the energy within you. Feel your smile, feel your heart come alive.
Mm. I can feel that just you saying it, Janelle. I'm sure that other people who are listening here and watching can feel that as well. And the heart of the matter, and this is something in Revolutionary Leadership Academy that we've made the heart of the matter, right? To get to that center, uh, we need to know it's at the center is our truth, that we've created that center, right? So it needs to it needs to have many layers, and those layers need to be not layers that have been caked on you from conditioning of your past and other fearful situations or experiences. They need to be ones that you choose, that you're continually going back to, that you know are true to you, so that no matter what rocks you on the outside, you can come in there and you can be stable and you can
Unshakable and unbreakable.
exactly. I'll throw this back to you, Janelle. Those three letters that we use in the Revolutionary Leadership Academy.
Yeah, yeah. Because what makes us unshakable and unbreakable and really alive within is when we have brought to life from our golden nucleus, that center. We remember what we're for. And in our revolutionary leadership, we have the structure and the infrastructure so that we can weave all the golden threads and a structure to help bring them alive. And so we've got that logic laid out in an organic way. And it begins with our top three. Our MVP is a little different, the MVP that many of you know. Your top three morals, your top three values, your top three priorities. So once you call them by name, the leadership begins with how you lead your life according to and staying in resonance, staying true to the top three morals, top three values, the top three priorities. Because everything emanates in accordance with the truth of your soul, the truth of your own inner power. And when you're true to your own self and your power, you become passionately alive, right? And in that, because you're living in resonance, you feel the poise and the presence of being true to yourself and letting that power come alive through you, not needing to control or to ensure that it stays in the balance, but let it have its own life. You're both watching it and you're playing it, and it's playing you.
That feel when you were saying that, it's almost like it's a liberation from within, right? So we've been so trained into thinking that we need to respond and become from outside, right? This is the exact opposite. This is a bringing more energy, more light. Imagine a ball of light inside of you, just getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. The more energy and attention you bring to it, the more you're in resonance and the more you magnetize experiences, right? The more you manifest that which is in resonance with what you're putting out in the world, right? You're brightening your lighthouse, or you're cleaning all the dirt that was on the windows of it so it can fully shine, and so that it can be seen, and so that you can see, right? It works both ways. There's nobody's lacking in this beautiful rebirthing of the golden nucleus that you've created, because you've created it intentionally based on you and no one else.
Yes. And it's also looked at as an all-inclusive way. It does not deny the linear, the finite. But what it does is it recognizes that the finite and the linear, the thinking mind, is limited. So how can we invoke the right side of our brain with the left side of the brain? How can we emerge to include both sides of the equation, both our yin and our yang, our masculine and our feminine, the finite and the infinite, the thinking mind and the creative mind, right? And so that's what this is really creating, is that golden thread that combines both the effort and the ease, the doing and the being, to live and be lived, to love and be loved, because that's really what the universe is made of. And the simultaneity of paradox is that all-inclusive, balanced energy.
And I love that infinite finite, and that potential to start with the end in mind, instead of thinking of everything needing to know what's happening next, and our brain trying to logically solve and rationally put things together and need to know the next steps, and instead opening up to that infinite, starting with the end in mind. That this thing that's happening right now is like really intense in my reality, but is it going to be the same by next week? What about next year? What about 10 years from now? Is this going to be important? Because
Yes.
now we can have a little bit of a different reference point by giving ourselves that extra space, right? Or that imagining, what is it? And I know you've just recently, Janelle, you're like, okay, if you're going to step into this big thing, Jules, and really commit to it, you can't just commit to it and, because you're afraid of the pain that's going to cause if you don't. There's got to be something that's pulling you, right? So the pain pushes, the pleasure pulls. So they're both creating momentum. But do you really want the fear pushing? Because that has a whole different resonance to it than you picking something in the future that you really, your heart, at the heart of the matter, your heart, this matters. And this matters more than anything. And you're going to do whatever you can to get to that point. And whether that's your grandkids, whether that's creating a world where there's fresh water available for future generations, whether that's, a wealth plan. Everybody's going to be different about what that is for them. But when you can feel it at your heart, and that is pulling you towards that end, that starting with the end in mind, that is going to have power. And that is all about knowing at your center that that's going to keep mobilizing you continuously through all that feels awkward and nasty, and you're going to want to give up like 200 times over, but that's going to be the thing that keeps pulling you. And big part. Yeah.
And of course, that's the power of alchemy, when you're held in a place and you have a plan, a strategy, and a culture, a group of people to hold you and support you through it all, so that everything in life has the opportunity to turn to gold. Because everything in our life is here for a reason, to awaken and to empower and to resolve that which isn't resolved. And that perspective is really what our infrastructure of the inner alchemy is and offers. Because we need to have a safe place, a safe haven. I call it the incubation station, to bring these ideas to fruition and to work through what hasn't been worked through. And it's a journey. It has a vision, but the destination and the finish line don't need to be finite. We just have the North Star there, so that every day we have that orientation that keeps us true to ourselves.
It feels like we start exactly where we stopped and stop. I'm pointing to the star at your chest there, that North Star.
Yeah.
And I mean, the beauty of all of these beautiful revolutionary conversations is that there is no right or wrong to doing it. You can do this yourself. If this speaks to you, it's already started in its process when this is landing. The magic of doing it together with one another is just like you just said, Janel, like that's what breeds this beautiful culture and enriched experience of remembering that we're not alone. And
Power of synergy.
yes,
That's what we really need right now, to exponentially move in these positive directions. And we work in a proactive way. And being proactive versus reactive is coming from love, not fear. And when fear comes up, the antidote is some form of love. Because we know that the highest frequency, vibration, and effect is moving from the energies of what we're for. So by being true and calling out the orientation of our heart, we're able to foster a vision and the orientation from love. And that then imbues a light, an energy, a vision of love that has a higher frequency and vibration than all of the problems and challenges that are in the world and in our lives. So to be a proactivist versus an activist or a reactivist is really the high road and the most effective and effective.
and that's the revolution. In a yeah.
Bring it home.
Literally bringing it home to the heart. Yeah. So if this speaks to you, if you are letting this sink in and feeling how this resonates, and please give it time. And if you need to watch this over and over and over again to just feel it and let it land, that's what we do after these conversations.
And reach out.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear what you love. We'd love to hear what you want to know more about. We'd love to share more with you. Reach out. We're real people. We're all in this together. And this is just the invitation of the all-inclusive culture.
And it's just the beginning. So we look forward to sharing more and and hearing what you have to offer for us as well. Thank you so much, everyone. See you next time.
Blessings to all of you.